Buongiorno a tutti. Io sono Luisa Cordova, sono il capo ufficio stampa di AIFA. Sono qui quasi abusiva perché Domenico Di Giorgio, come voi sapete, si collegherà da casa e quindi faccio un po' gli onori di casa. Il posto merita questa conferenza e passo subito la parola a Domenico, che è il coordinatore del progetto e che farà gli onori di casa. Dov'è Domenico? Eccolo qua. Buongiorno Domenico.
Buongiorno, passo all'inglese vista la presenza di tanti ospiti stranieri, so I shift to English. I'm really sorry not to be present in person, but I'm happy to have the opportunity of participating to this final event of the MEDI-THEFT project, and I'm also honored to have so many relevant participants and to have the opportunity of inviting to open our final conference the president of the agency and the president of Farmindustria. So I'm happy to leave the floor to President Giorgio Palù for the opening of the conference. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to all the participants. You are in a beautiful scenario, let me remember. Is the Temple Antonino and Faustina that was actually a gift of Pope Martino V to the Nobel College of Chemistry and Pharmacy, and with a proscenium that is the Roman Forum. And let me say I'm self-indulgent with my passion for history, and I'm a physician and a former dean. Let me remember that you are there in a tradition of Galenian medicine. Galeno came from Pergamon in 162 after AC, and to continue medicine. The medicine that was a Hippocratic medicine, it was following the gladiator and study, of course, anatomy, and is a continuum. And also, I would like to remind you that at least coming from Annunziat University, one of the most old in Europe after Bologna, Padua, that pharmacy, the faculty was started in 1931 with the first degree in pharmacy. Before, like chemistry, stemmed from a rib of medicine. Chemistry studying the pus, and then the protein and the nucleic acid. And so it's a continuum in culture. And what is important today, I would like also to thank the convener, the many convener, University Cattolica, the Institute Polygraphic of the state and the Mint of the state, the Affordable Medicine Europe, and the regulatory agencies of Serbia and Montenegro. And let me say also Arma dei Carabinieri, represented here by the Colonel Marusca Strapatelli. And I would like her, on my behalf, to welcome the new General Raffaele Covetti that will visit Haifa next week. I won't be there, and I'm sorry for that, but it's important that we have all this institution. And last but not least, let me thank you, the organizer, the real dominants of this event, that is Dr. Di Giorgio. Dr. Di Giorgio is actually the chief of one area of Haifa, very important, that is the inspection of production. This is quite a unique, actually, behavior, a unique attribution among the other European agencies, because inspection is so important, and we are called from FDA and also from EMA. Not only that, but Dr. Di Giorgio is also the chair of a European table that is discussing shortage of drugs. And you know that is actually a problem that was rising with the last pandemic. And I will thank him also for this and for actually this initiative, theft of drugs. This is a blasphemy. It's not a misdemeanor is a real robbery, is a consolidated robbery that is operated by criminal organization, is a real fraud that is affecting our national system. And this program is actually represent a step together with the closing remark will be in this October. The intention is to share and to recruit and analyze information that are related to case of medicine theft, to edificate, to identify a modus operandi of this criminal organization, but also to elaborate and share in a common platform alerts to prevent this robbery and to support and promote new action at the European and international level. So this really only a comprised organization would be a fundamental instrument putting together private and state organization, and also is a seat that our agency assigned, that our agency is delivering in Europe, and I think many other NDAvier. I think I can only praise, recommend this initiative to be divulged in Europe and to make fruitful coming back. So I will wish you to thank again for participation and wishing you that a fruitful work, and I'm sure there will be from here fallout interesting for all Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Palou. And now I would like to give the floor to Dr. Marcello Gattani, President of Farmindustria, the Italian Association of Marketing Authorization Holders. The cooperation, as also Professor Palou underlined, between all of the stakeholders in some specific fields where the private and public stakeholders may have clear common goals is really relevant, and in the contraction of pharmacrime is a key for success of the contracting activities. So I'm happy to give the floor to Dr. Gattani for his opening. Dr. Gattani, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. De Giorgio, and good morning to every speaker and also to all the participants from Farmindustria. And, thank you very much for this invitation. As mentioned, the collaboration, especially on that really high purpose topic regarding, drugs theft. That's really, obviously, a win-win for each stakeholder in the sense that as much the science and the value related to drugs is increasing over time, they need to make, a MEDI-THEFT European project is really high. And if we are looking to the purpose of the science in the next 5 years or next decade, we need to evolve on that purpose by laws, by collaboration between stakeholders and police forces as well, because the level of sophistication and the science will tap new aids, and so new tools, new policies, and we need to think about in order to monitoring, preserve, and act against drugs theft in a very large scale, I would say cross-border in a worldwide scope, because drugs today are really even more valuable than other stuffs because they high intrinsic value and small volume. And so our collaboration with IFA in that terms is open, frank, trustful, and we will push a common goal to have a very well tracked systems and tracking from the plants, the factories onwards in order to have, a very clear supply and distribution paths in order to minimize as much as we can in full collaboration with the police forces that phenomenon. And so my wish is to have a very meaningful conversations today and have a good hints coming from the database that has been put in place a few years ago, but as well the MEDI-THEFT project is starting to generating evidence. We need to think about the future and thinking about the science that will evolve. Just to mention a couple of platforms, I would say, product fields, gene editing, and oncolytic viruses, microbiota. So the level of science will push us to think new policies, new tools, new investigation systems to protect citizens against, at one side, a drug or drug platform theft and counterfeit, and of course, from the value perspective as well. Thank you very much. Once again, Dr. Di Giorgio, and have a good meeting.
Thank you. And I think that we can close this opening session. Thank you again to Professor Palù and Dr. Kettani for having attended and opened the conference. And I have to give the floor, I think, to the moderator of the first session before taking the floor again for setting up the scene. So I leave the floor to Pavle Zelic, a friend from the Serbian Agency of Medicines, ALIMS.
Thank you, Domenico. Let's see if this works. Oh, works, perfect. Thank you, Domenico, and thank you for everybody. Buongiorno, grazie mille a Domenico, a IFA, grazie mille organizers, and grazie mille a tutti. I will not butcher Italian language anymore, but I just wanted to say something which is really special on my heart to be present at this final conference of the MEDI-THEFT project. But when we say final, it is not really final. We will talk a lot more about how we will continue our work together, but it is a huge honor to be in front of you. And we will be talking a lot about this beautiful place, and I will announce as first speaker in a minute about telling us more on Nobile Collegio Chimico e Farmaceutico. But I have to say something else. I don't know if you can see what I see, but I see the best dressed meeting and conference I have ever been to. And this is not only Italians. This is also about everybody else. We had to step up our game and try harder to look as nice as we do today. So we are not only in a most beautiful building, but we also look pretty well ourselves as well. So that being said, I will announce the Presidente del Nobile Collegio Chimico e Farmaceutico, Presidente Peroni, to tell us a little bit more about the place where we are. Presidente, please. Oh, okay. Okay, I will look at the organizer very critically and ask if this is something I should be announcing at this moment or not. Okay, if not, then we will continue with the program right away. I believe that this is something we have to take into consideration when organizing big events. Of course, nothing can go perfectly smooth, but I'm sure we will learn more about this place in the following sessions. Now I will have the honor, really, and a huge, huge pleasure to announce Domenico Di Giorgio. Dr. Domenico Di Giorgio is really a force of nature. He is somebody who is not only a great person, a great leader, a great expert, but also somebody I'm honored to call my friend, and I think most of you can say the same. He is really a Renaissance man and somebody who can be looked up in many ways, and also somebody who was very innovative and keen in tackling the most important issues endangering people's lives all over Europe, and I'm saying not only EU, but also countries like my own, which are acceding towards the EU. So this has been been an effort on the level of EU, on the level of Council of Europe, and on many, many other places. Dr. Di Giorgio made his mark, and now he will be telling us a little bit more about the national perspective of the theft of medicine. So, Domenico, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pavle. Thank you for the kind words, and I will follow up to your words regarding the practicalities of this organization, trying to keep my presentation as short as possible. I just want to set the scene for the follow-up presentation. As you already said, this is not the end of a project. This is the beginning of a new journey, but it's important we know where we are and how we arrived here. So the theft of medicine is an issue that we started following up many years ago due to the different due to some issues that we had in managing some relevant event that we had in Italy. We at a certain moment we had a lot of events. Theft were always a lucrative crime, interesting for the criminal organization, and they had bases that were quite easy to understand, because you know that any time you have something that can be easily stolen and resold, it is easy to steal it. I don't know if you can see the presentation in the right way. I hope it's working. This is a form of transnational crime, because the products are usually stolen in one country and sold in another. And checking the situation at an international level, we know
Domenico,
that the asymmetry...
Domenico, sorry to interrupt you, but we are seeing just the first slide of the presentation. It's not moving, so maybe we can try to fix that.
I try to share again the presentation.
Yeah, I think that would be best. Sorry. Okay, I think it's working now. Okay. Can you please try to move the slide?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, no, sorry for the practicalities. We always worked against pharmaceutical theft in the general view of contracting pharmaceutical crime, because medicines that are stolen are not managed the right way, so they are creating danger to public health. And moreover, the definition of falsified medicinal product that was agreed in Europe with the Directive 2011/62 in classifying as falsified any product presented with false representation of identity, source, and history, also cover medicines that are stolen and sold through false credentials. So we already accessed the tools of the 2011/62 Directive against pharma crime for theft, even if we didn't have specific provision against this specific crime. As I mentioned, in 2013, we had a peak of events of this kind, and we were requested by industries to set up something. And what we did was to set up a cooperation network and a database. Through the analysis of joint intelligence reports and data, we were able to reconstruct the chain and to understand how the stolen medicines were laundered through bogus wholesaler and sold in the European network. So in the Operation Volcano, we dismantled structure that involved paperwork factories from abroad, issuing fake invoices for laundering stolen medicines to other markets in Europe. So we had fake operators, fake invoices, and manipulated or badly managed medicine, so a danger to public health. The results of the Operation Volcano, this is the name for this investigation, were impressive. For 4 years, more or less, we had no theft in Italy because we dismantled not only the criminal organization, but also the channels for selling the medicines. And in particular, we had no longer assault to hospitals. Then, as usual, criminals changed target, changed their behaviors, and we had similar cases in other countries or new strategies for laundering medicine. So in Germany, we had the Luna Farm case in which the same plot of the Operation Volcano was repeated with medicines from other countries, and criminals started looking for new sources for medicines to launder. The general scheme for laundering is this way. So the criminal were a ghost distribution network able to sort medicines in the different channels that they can use. So OTC and pharmacy medicines were sold to compromised medicines, doping and anabolic substances were sold in the black market, and the hospital medicines, high cost products that were interested for the European market were so laundered and sold in Europe in other markets. What we did for stopping this crime was quite simple. We asked to share in a timely way data, not with very high-level tools. We simply used the kind of report that is in use for traceability in Italy, and we asked industries to send us data in a timely way in order to transform them also in alert and in tools for investigator, and not simply for economical data for traceability. We started issuing a blacklist for police forces and operators, and this made unsellable the products that were stolen in Italy. Then the MEDI-THEFT project is built on previous initiatives. So in particular, what I explained regarding the Volcano operation was already consolidated in the fake share project that started as an initiative against pharma crime on the web and evolved against the illegal distribution of medicines in general. And we used some of the tools of the fake share project for managing the Volcano operation. Since this first initiative, we always involved other DRAs, police forces, other administration, and researchers from the university, because we always felt that we need science behind our job, and we need also an international perspective for our activities, because these kind of crimes are always developed at an international level. The Fixture 2 project was focused on theft, and in this evolution, we also tried to involve more law enforcement agency and to start helping them to set up system as the one that Italy applied with success against criminals in Italy. The tools basically consisted in web-based platforms with a public side for giving reliable information on the phenomenon, and restricted areas with blacklist and intelligence information. Again, the key was data gathering structure that helped the national authorities to easily convince the marketing authorization holder or police forces to share the information. And the more information you share, the stronger the platform. We also consolidated the result of this operation and of this project through publication. We sent a white paper to the European Commission asking for stricter controls on this kind of trades. We periodically publish update on the situation of this kind of crime at the European level. And we also went for exercises with the Commission, trying to make people understand that setting up system is the best way for counteracting criminals. So I don't want to go into depth in this analysis. You can find the most part of data in the publication that we shared through this project, but it's important to understand that even after the Volcano operation and the Luna Farm case, only a few countries set up system for data gathering on theft. And data gathering on theft is critical because it is the source for blacklists that make the stolen medicines unsellable. And if you do not look for data, you will never know that you have a problem. And we demonstrated with figures how relevant is to gather data, because the countries that started this exercise discovered that they had the same incidence of the problem that we already measured in Italy, because we have the same situation all around the world, because medicines are high-cost products that are not as protected as, I don't know, money in the banks, and that may be easily laundered. We also asked for strengthening of the regulation against medicines theft, but it is difficult to make the political level consider this as a relevant issue if the competent authorities are not actively gathering data for supporting this initiative. So we also cooperated with Council of Europe and other international institutions in publishing data and studies for supporting our point of view, and the best practice guidance that probably you are now looking at during the conference is again an attempt for raising awareness regarding this form of crime. So in a nutshell, this is the point. You should look for pharmaceutical theft in your country because they are happening. Because valuable, accessible, and disposable goods attract thieves, and if it can be sold, it is valuable. Stolen medicines will become falsified medicines, so they are a danger to public health. And if you are not seeing it as a problem, is simply because theft are investigated at local level, so they are not reporting you the cases. So medicines are stolen everywhere, even in your country, but sharing data, looking for data and sharing data is the best way for stopping criminals. So we also proposed with publications that were issued during the MEDI-THEFT project, some best practices for setting up the relevant initiative for counteracting this crime. And since the MEDI-THEFT project is focusing on not on setting up tools, but in going beyond the setup of tools by facilitating the implementation, we are pretty sure that at the end of this conference, we will be able to convince all of you that the tools that we are setting up may be a helping hand for all of you, and that they are easy to implement. No investment, simply some focusing on how to make law enforcement authorities, marketing authorization holder, distribution network, and all of the stakeholders cooperating against a form of crime that is putting at risk the public health. So thank you, and I hope that this quick presentation will be a good start for having a perspective on the following presentation. So I give back the floor to Pavle. Thank you.
Dear Domenico, I hope you hear this very strong applause, and I think it's a perfect introduction to our first beginning of the very deep exploration of the topic of pharmaceutical theft. I will now call for Marco Dugato, who is senior researcher from Trans Crime. He has a PhD in criminology, in urban crime, and he can predict crime on street level. And I saw a movie like that. It's called The Minority Report. Tom Cruise was the main character. So maybe they will make a movie with you. And I'm thinking like Leonardo DiCaprio can play you in that movie.
Okay, okay. Then we'll talk about the revenues after.
But please, Marco, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. My, let's say, intervention today is, well, first of all, I would also like to thank the organizer, Domenico, but also Gianpaolo, Marta, for the wonderful organization. Our role as academic, I come from Transcrime, which is a research center based at the Catholic University in Milan, is basically to try to expand as much as possible the current knowledge that, as Domenico explained before, came up from a previous investigation of previous activities conducted by IFI primarily, but also other stakeholders at the European level, to try as much as possible to expand the current, again, knowledge and increase the current knowledge about what are the criminal schemes, how criminals actually are capable to steal and then to resold those kind of products. And I think that in this presentation, I would like to very briefly try to explain you and put an emphasis on the transnational nature of this crime and why there is the need to invest as much as possible on the productions, on the gathering of more precise data, increase the quality of the data, and also the importance of sharing this kind of information. Okay, so I think that on the background, there is no need to stress enough how much is potentially dangerous, the theft of medicines, because in respect to other kind of, let's call it, property crimes, we know that the value or the potential impact of these crimes goes beyond the simple economic value of the stolen products, but can have impact on the health of the patients, it can help of the national accounts and so on and so forth, also on the reputation of companies, for instance, that are involved into this. But despite that, there is still a lack of knowledge, a lack of data, and a lack of awareness about this crime. That's what we perceived when we started talking about this issue in different countries across Europe. So, and this is mainly due to the fact that we have very few data, very few structured data and information. I would like to bring you some examples. These are the numbers that we were able to extract worldwide. So Pharmaceutical Security Institute, I think that most of you know them, report only about 100 cases a year of what they call major theft. If you look at the TAPA, which is a Transport Assets Protection Association, which basically focus on cargo, theft, cargo crime, they simply report a very few numbers of theft of medicine, again, worldwide each year. And you can also see how there is a drop after 2020. So, again, we ask them, we conduct, let's say, a scraping analysis of news, try to retrieve and to say, well, maybe if these relevant cases came up on the news, so we try to explore across Europe what are the, let's say, press releases, news that come on newspaper that talk about theft of medicines from cargo, from hospitals, and we ended up with identify some cases, some relevant cases, but again, quite a few of them, only 87 from 2015 or 2022. Also, when we ask directly to national competent authorities, okay, how many thefts did you record yearly? And this is a survey that we do also thanks to the cooperation of the Council of Europe. And you can see, well, not very much see from this slide because it's too small, but in most of the country, they report less than 10 theft a year. So from this data, one may say, okay, but while we are talking about this issue, it's a teeny problem. It's not a real problem. But the real question is, can we trust this information? Can we trust this data? And our answer is probably not. Because the problem here is how these data are collected, who is collecting this data, how this data is collected, about what they are looking at. For instance, also in the same survey, more than half of the national competent authorities reported that, yes, we are providing you this data, but we believe that these data are not trustable. Okay, so we already know that there is already the perception from the one that should have been let's say, the collectors of this data, that the data they collect are not the entire spectrum of the actual phenomena. And why these data are not reliable? First of all, we know that there is a lack of common definition, for instance, of the issue. There is a lack also of system, of methods for collecting this data. And this is, of course, a critical issue when it comes to the identification of and the, let's say, counting of a specific crime. And this caused that, on the one side, many thefts are simply not reported to authorities, so they do not reach the authority. Or, and this is even worse, when they reach, so when they're actually reported to authorities, and Domenico mentioned before the cases in when a theft is reported, for instance, at the local level, it may be recorded as a generic theft, which means that when you try later to escalate or to extract this kind of information, this is basically not possible because it enters into the overall category of generic theft, and you're not able anymore to extract this information. And this is, of course, cause an underestimation, a large underestimation of the actual number of events that we are facing. And also, and this may explain, for instance, the slight reductions of number that we saw in the TAPA numbers, we also see a change in the modus operandi of criminals. For instance, and I will go back on this briefly, if we see an increased number of small-scale theft, maybe repeated, organized, so the overall amount of stolen remain the same, but not in a single large event, but in small and repeated events that occur during 1-2 months, what we may have is these events may go easily unnoticed, because of course, if someone's stolen an entire cargo, it's much more difficult to hide this information somehow, or it at least pop up in the news or pop up in. But if they just stolen a few boxes from a warehouse, of course, these may become more troublesome and problematic. And also, we have other evidences, let's say indirect evidences. For instance, on the one cases, we notice that there is an increased number of diversion cases, and an increased number also in the so-called lost medicines. So medicines that are recorded as losses. Again, not all of the diversion is due to theft, although most of them probably is. And so basically, when we retrieve that one legitimate product is found in a country or in a market where it should not be, it means that at some point previously it exits from the supply chain. And how it exits from the supply chain? Maybe it exits due to theft or some kind of fraud. But also, when it comes to losses medicines, it can be, let's say, a way to hide some theft. So we need also to focus on this kind of, let's say, hints that we can explore and then come up from the data. That said, what we did is basically do a more quantitative and qualitative analysis of the different type of information to come up with different, what we call criminal schemes. So different way of combination of modus operandi, targets, type of actors, type of final clients to, let's say, again, expand the current knowledge that came up, for instance, from the Vulcano operation, as mentioned before, and give a sense of the wide complexity and the wide variety of the criminal behaviors that occurs when we talk about theft of medicines. And I just bring you a couple of examples of these to let you know how, let's say, these criminal schemes are and the complexity behind these criminal schemes. For instance, one of these is what we call the suppliers, in which the aim is to steal not large quantity, but low quantity of high-priced medicines, usually hospital medicines, but these thefts are theft on commission. So are thefts that somehow are committed or just because there is already a patient, usually located in a third country where these products are not available or not covered by national healthcare systems or are highly costly, that somehow request that kind of person. So there is a demand, and what the criminals do is try to respond to that demand. And so how it works, you usually start with having some wealthy patient, usually, or private healthcare facility located in one country that let's say, order directly or through some brokers, usually conniving professional in the healthcare systems, those medicines to a main criminal group that is usually located in a third countries, usually a country where those medicines are actually available on the market. Then these main criminal groups usually do not directly conduct the theft, but require or hire some specialized thieves, so some actors that are specialized in the property crime aspect to steal those products from different facilities. Could be hospital, warehouses, but in some cases also, for instance, production sites. And this may happen across different countries. Then what the main criminal group does is to recollect this kind of, all this kind of product, to store them, and then to take care of the distribution phase. So what they do, basically, they do very simple in a way, but effective way of moving those products cross borders. For instance, they're using the so-called hand smuggling. So what they do, they put few boxes, for instance, in a personal luggage of people traveling from one country to another, or they simply use regular postal services. So they simply dispatch a few boxes, knowing that when we communicate, the possibility of controlling a large amount of parcel is somehow impossible. So they say, okay, even if some of those products are intercepted, the vast majority of the products we are moving will go undetected. And this is, let's say, an emerging type of criminal schemes that we saw that somehow substitute the main, let's say, criminal schemes that we saw in the Vulcan operation, for instance. But there is also another interesting aspect on another, let's say, shift of this criminal intention. That is what we call a product displacement. Of course, for instance, in Europe, the increased traceability of pharmaceutical push sometimes criminal to look at other type of products that are somehow less controlled. And one of these are the so-called medical devices or medical equipment, for instance. Here we have an example on what we call the technicians' criminal schemes, of course, the names of ours, in which what they do, they steal high prices, again, medical devices or equipment, to either sell them abroad on the black market or try to re-enter them on the secondary market as legitimate products. And again, how it works, you have a main criminal group that is structured as a network, so with very different functional units. One of them is devoted to the stealing, so they are very good at stealing the products. Other one is devoted again to the transportation, and again pretty much the, since we are already talking about small quantity or it says object with quite a small size, they use pretty much the same modus operandi, so hand smuggling and regular postal services. And then there is the selling unit that could either go directly on the black market, so we're selling those products, for instance, online, or thanks to bogus companies, they create fake documentation to attach to these products, exactly as we saw for the pharmaceuticals, but they now do that for the medical devices or equipment. And they use them basically to re-enter those products into the legitimate supply chain and sell them to legitimate wholesaler that could be maybe unwitting of the fraudulent nature of those products. But of course, these may create issues and problems. So if you want somehow to summarize a little bit, the theft of medicines is definitely more widespread than the actual data show us, and it is transnational in nature. As you have seen, and as Domenico also made before, in the vast majority of the cases, the places where the theft occurs is not the place where the products are sold. Which means that even if in your country you are not recording a high number of theft, it doesn't mean that the problem is not affecting you. And of course, the other way around. So it also stressed the need of increasing the cooperation across countries by authorities. It is a complex crime. We see clearly how many different type of activities and type of knowledge and skills are required to conduct the product. This is not something, especially if you think about the theft on commission, is not when you have like theft that go there into a warehouse and simply steal everything that is there. These are theft that happen on commission in which there is someone who knows exactly which kind of products are required and where and how to take them. So it requires to be an organized crime and organized activities. Again, when we talk in Italy about organized crime, everybody thinks of mafia. In our case specifically, this is not really the case. So we see that there are some connections with some traditional criminal organization, Italians or worldwide, but their role is minor. Here we have to think as an organized activities, so something that is repeated in time, that is systematic, and in which the different actors join together on an opportunity base. But again, it doesn't mean that it's not important, and it is also harder to tackle than maybe a regular crime or a crime that is just conducted by single or few authors. And also, this is something that we saw, it's various and evolving. And here it comes the need to be constantly updated, to try to expand and be updated on the current knowledge that we could extract from the information. Because as we saw, criminals are very good at exploiting opportunities that come from the changes in the regulation. We saw the displacement for the products. That happened, for instance, on the change in the demand. The COVID situation, of course, for instance, push the criminals to look for type of products that are different from the one that maybe are appealing 5 or 7 years ago. There is a change in the demand, and also this causes a change in the response by the criminal and the actions by the criminal. And finally, and this is something we will be back on later on today, we saw that in most of these schemes, there is an active role of, on the one side, conniving professional, but also more and more on the role of companies operating. So the fact that criminals infiltrate legitimate companies, or that they set up shell companies, bogus companies, to conduct this kind of activities is a crucial element. So there is also the need to increase the capacity of controlling the overall supply chain by both public and private actors to increase and build more trust about the different authors. Thank you very much for this, let's say, primary introduction to it. You can find more information beyond the documents that Domenico shared already also in these other publications that are freely available. You can also find them on the website of MEDI-THEFT, but if not, just send me an email and I'll be happy to share with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco, for reinforcing these important messages and leading us into the shady world of theft of medicines. And now I hand over to you as the moderator of the next session. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you again. It is again a pleasure now to introduce this next session, in which, after, let's say, this overview of the phenomenon itself, the idea is to introduce some of the partners of the MEDI-THEFT project that could help you, give you a bit more of details about what is the role in the projects, their view, their perspective into the project. So I will start with Maria Letterati for Fondazione SAFE, who will provide you a more general view about the project and the overall structures.
Good morning, everyone. So, dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here today on the occasion of this final event of the MEDI-THEFT project. I'm Maria Letterati from Fondazione SAFE, and before starting my presentation, I would like to have some words about Fondazione SAFE. So, Fondazione SAFE is a non-for-profit organization with an international scope. Fondazione SAFE manages high-impact projects in the area of security, defense, and fundamental rights. Fondazione SAFE manages projects by its own fund, but also through participating in call for projects funded by the European Commission and other international donors. So we are here today since Fondazione SAFE is part of the MEDI-THEFT consortium. With my presentation today, I would like to provide you with an overview of the project, as well as highlight the main results achieved during the 2-year projects. So, of course, I will not go in detail, since all of the colleagues from the consortium will provide you with some details about specific achievement. So overall, the scope of the MEDI-THEFT project is to counteract theft of medicine, and to do so, the project try to foster effective investigation as well as cooperation at the cross-countries level between different institutions. During the MEDI-THEFT project, in order to achieve these results, the partner of the consortium worked together in order to develop an intelligence-based platform. Thanks to the intelligence-based platform, it's possible to share data in a safe way, of course, to collect them and to analyze them. So during the following presentation, a demo of the platform will be explained and will be shown, as well as the main features. So going now to some more specific details of the project. The project has been funded by the European Commission under the Internal Security Fund for a total budget of 1.5 million euro. So during the 2-year project, the consortium implements the project, and the consortium is composed of 8 partners that are coming both from the private as well as the public sector. So I now have the pleasure to introduce the partners of the consortium. So, of course, IFA leads the consortium, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank them again for organizing this event today in this beautiful location. Then some other representatives from the public sector are Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore, together with the spin-off Transcrime, Poligrafico e Zecca dello Stato Italiano, and there's a representative from the law enforcement agency, which is Arma dei Carabinieri, together with the dedicated unit under IFA for the health protection. Moreover, there are some representatives from national regulatory agencies, such as ALIMS and CIMMED from Montenegro and Serbia. Last but not last, representatives from the private sector are part of the consortium. Indeed, there's, of course, Fondazione Safe and Affordable Medicine Europe, which represent Europe licensed parallel distribution industry. So now, going deeper into the project itself, let me explain you briefly how it's structured. So the project is structured in 4 working packages. So the working package represents, let's say, large categories of activities. So each working package is led by a partner of the consortium. Apart from working package 1 and 5, which correspond respectively to the coordination activity and communication and dissemination activities, the other working packages are technical ones. So I will now go briefly through them in order to explain you how the project is structured in detail, as well as to highlight the remarkable results achieved during this 2-year project. So first phase of the project has been devoted to the identification of the modus operandi of organized criminal groups involved in the theft of medicine. So the goal was to identify some risk indicators, both at the country as well as the operator level, in order to feed the intelligence-based platform. Moreover, another goal was to assess best practice in order to manage the organized theft of medicine. So as already anticipated, the results of this research and assessment phase has been collected in some public reports. So specifically, the collection of criminal schemes has been collected in a report that is titled "The Theft of Medicine in the European Union," while the results of the assessment of best practice has been collected in a report that is titled "Best Practices to Manage Case of Theft in the European Union." So I advise you to have a look in the MEDI-THEFT website, since all the reports are available for free download from the website. Moving now to the second phase of the project. So upon conclusion and based on the results of the research and assessment phase, the member of the consortium just take the opportunity to develop an intelligence-based platform. So the platform is available for European law enforcement agencies in order to collect, share data, and analysis of information related to medicine-related crime. I will not go in deeper into these topics since my colleagues in the upcoming presentation are going to present you the main features of the platform as well as the perspective for exploitation. Moving now to the last part of the project. So upon conclusion and definition of the training materials, the members of the consortium deliver some training sessions. Training sessions were tailor-oriented and dedicated to law enforcement agencies, drug regulatory agencies, and private stakeholders. So I say private tailor-oriented. Why? Because all the training session varies depending on the beneficiaries. So specifically, training session dedicated to law enforcement agencies and drug regulatory authorities have a specific focus on the management of cases, of course, while training sessions dedicated to private stakeholders were focused on the raise awareness as well as the data sharing. So in total, more than 300 representatives from private and public sector have been trained during the project. Lastly, I would like to present some remarkable results in the field of communication and dissemination activities. So first of all, inter alia, there's been the consortium managed to organize several promotional events for the MEDI-THEFT project, both at the national as well as the international level. In addition, during the 2-year project, three newsletters have been drafted, and I advise you to have a look in the MEDI-THEFT media channel in the upcoming weeks, since the 4th newsletter will be published soon. So that's all from my side. To sum up, I would say that the project met the proposed objective, leading to some remarkable results. So, of course, there's been the publication of several technical reports, the delivery of training sessions, as well as the development of an intelligence-based platform. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the consortium for the effort in order to boost the fight against illicit trafficking of medicine. Thank you.
Okay, now the floor is to our, let's say, Balkan hub, I would say. So, first of all, David Kokovic from its head of laboratory at CINMED, which is the, the National Competent Authorities of Montenegro, and he will tell us more about their role in the projects.
Dear project partners, dear colleagues, respected auditorium, good morning. My name is David Kočović, and first of all, I am very honored to be before you today in this pivotal conference and in such a marvelous place. I am a head of laboratory for the Institute of Medicines and Medical Devices of Montenegro, and in this session, I will try to explain to you who are we, what do we deal with, and what was our role in this project. So without further ado, okay, I guess you cannot see this very clearly, but we are a quite small collective of around 70 people. We are a national regulatory organ, but we'll deal in science as well, hence the name Institute. We are a highly productive bunch and a very happy place to be working in. Our role in this project was actually mostly concentrated on dissemination of the project, raising awareness as it is, and of course to gain the information about our marketplace, the scope of this problem that MEDI-THEFT deals in on a national level. So the project, from the start of the project, we were there, and our main activities, as I said, were the disseminational nature ones. We had two big promotional events. The first one, as you can see on these photos, is the first annual CINMED conference, which will be held this year as well. We had more than 200 participants, and we believe that during this session we had a lot of success of transferring the knowledge of the MEDI-THEFT project and MEDI-THEFT platform on the participants themselves. During this event, there was a session dedicated to MEDI-THEFT project, and we, both Domenico Di Giorgio and I, were holding this session. The next one, again, was during this year, around April, I believe. No, apologies, 14th of May. We had the 4th Congress of Pharmacists held in Montenegro again. I gave an introduction to the project, and again, Domenico Di Giorgio, representative from IFA, gave a demonstration on the work of the platform itself. Other than these two big promotional events, we had a lot of these minor ones. So here are some of them presented in this slide right here. There are papers, there are parts that we tried to, let's say, transfer the knowledge and transfer the information of the existence of such a project and the importance of this problem. Now, to get on with it, the scope of the problem in Montenegro. Before 2023, we do not have the information of thefts of medicines and robberies. All the market authorization holders replied to this questionnaire that we sent them with negative answers, that they do not have these informations, yet we started tracking during this year. And during this year, we had a concentration of these events during the months of April and May, and there were 6 attempts of thefts of medicines, with 4 successful ones. One of these events was mainly focused on money, on financial part of it, and the other 3 were actually thefts of medicines similar to Xanax and similar medicines. These were all reported through the MEDI-THEFT platform, of course. One more way that CINMED battles these medicines and the occurrence of stolen and falsified medicines is our laboratory, which started screening during this year. We are screening for falsified medicines in the legal chain at the moment, but hopefully we will connect during this or the next year. We will connect with our police officers and get these samples connected to us, and then, of course, translate this information to MEDI-THEFT platform. I was trying to be brief because I see that we already took some time, and to leave more time to Pavle to represent ALIMS. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them during our coffee break, so please approach me without any restraint. Thank you.
And now the floor is to, again, Pavle Zelis from the International Cooperation Office of ALIMS.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're not seeing double, I'm now in the second role. Okay, so yes, the role of Medicines Medical Devices Agency of Serbia, where I lead the international cooperation, EU integrations and communication, has been really focusing on creating the knowledge, understanding how serious this problem is, not only in Serbia, but beyond the borders. And I think this is something that we can all share here. Yes? Okay. Put them up. Okay. Yeah. For the tall guys. Anyway, so that being said, of course, Serbia has been a long-standing partner of AIFA in many of the projects and activities, and MEDI-THEFT has been really the combination of our efforts. And this has been also something that reminds me of Gruppo TNT, the Alan Ford comic book. I hope you can recognize this. So sometimes we are challenged, we don't have enough resources, we will never have enough resources, but we have the passion, we have the community of us, and we are a group that can fight even if we are against really serious adversaries. So this is maybe a message of connection between Serbia and former Yugoslav countries and Italy, and we will continue fighting the good fight against criminals everywhere. Of course, you see the consortium. You'll see another beautiful picture. This is our group, TNT. Let's say this is a consortium meeting happening in Belgrade in May, just before the main event, the conference, where we put all our money, all our efforts, and created a really a landmark event that shaped the future for fighting medicinal theft in Serbia. And you will see a lot of pictures from that particular event. We did some other activities like Montenegro. We had sessions on our annual symposium in 2022 in October. We will have another lecture on the same event later on this month. But the conference on May 23rd made this really big impact because it had more than 100 participants. It created a huge media attention on all the major media outlets, and of course also supported the social media following on MEDI-THEFT, where we all are nowadays, unfortunately. So this was really something of one of a kind conference that got together all the main stakeholders from all different authorities and also private stakeholders as well. And you can see, of course, the consortium partners from Italy, Montenegro. We have a beautiful delegation here, and unfortunately Snežana Mugoša, the director, is not here, and Domenico in the middle. And then you see how Domenico is reacting to the media. He's very professional. You see Snežana is very happy to be talking to the media, and then you see this guy who is trying to explain something which is not easy to communicate, struggling with this, and you can see the media is shining away. It's not easy to comprehend what we're talking about, but we are trying, and we are doing much more and much better over the time. And this is most important picture. We had practically 10 countries and several of the Balkan countries represented in this event, and some of them are present here, like Radoslav and Rajka from Bulgaria and from Croatia. And this was a main thing for us. So for us, we wanted to bring everybody at the same table. So we had Ministry of Health, Police, Customs, Ministry of Trade, Patent Office, Health Insurance, Institute of Public Health, hospital pharmacists. Nenad Milkovic representing them is here right now, then industry, and then also we had several embassies as well, especially the EU delegation in Serbia, who will be hopefully supporting this in the future. And then you see all the countries that were present in this event, and this made such a huge impact and a big message for all the people who were listening, not even being present, but on, let's say, major news reports about the whole issue. Then when we're talking about the Balkan areas, you can see the Western Balkan in particular, we're surrounded by EU, but we can be also part of this criminal network, unfortunately. So we are small countries, but we have big problems in this area. Then we can be the trade route, and of course a danger for our patients is something that we are always very concerned about. So we see the picture of Genius, or Juno, the goddess of wisdom, and then we are trying not to be focusing on this tunnel vision issues. We're trying to look broader. We are trying to tackle suspicion, creating trust. We are trying to use transparency to attack confidentiality issues, and of course getting everyone in the room like we are doing right now. And of course at the very beginning I talk about the deficit of resources. The EU is supporting this with a substantial amount of money, and this is something very appreciated in our countries. And at the very end, I'm trying to show you also the way, and this is not the way out, this is the way forward, where we can be all together fighting this problem in the near future and for years to come, and really helping save our patients, save lives, which is why we are all here as a family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pavle. And now is the turn of Claudie Talineux from Affordable Medicine Europe, and who tell us a little bit more about the role of the private sectors, because of course, one of the fundamental elements in contrasting this crime is also the contribution of the privates.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, IFA, for the magnificent venue. This is the best meeting venue I've ever been. And I've been to some quite nice one, but nothing beats. So, Affordable Medicines Europe, is the association of parallel distributors in Europe. It was formed in 1998. We now have about 110 individual company members covering 23 member states plus EEA, which means we also have members from Norway and the UK. Something very important is that all our members' companies are EU licensed wholesaler, subject to GDP, and our importing members who are doing repackaging are also subject to the GMP. Well, and then Affordable Medicines Europe, of course, was a founding member of EMVO together with the European Association of the Manufacturers of the Generics, Wholesalers and Pharmacies. Our objective, is to bring affordable medicines to all Europeans. So now I have some little slides on what our sector represents on the market. And so you can see here figures about the pharma sales, which have been increasing since the last 20 years, when our sales remain about the same, which means our share have been decreasing. So not a big sector, but rather still important in the supply chain. The benefits of parallel imports, so you have direct savings, so our parallel imported products are of course sold at a cheaper price or lower price than the one of the originators. We also have the indirect savings, which are created by the competitive pressure put on the manufacturing price, on the price of the manufacturers when a parallel import is introduced on one market. You see here in terms of savings, it's quite significant. We have carried for our own knowledge a survey on the trade flow. And this is a bit interesting because it will show you that medicines and our members are moving medicines from countries to countries and not, as what we usually think, from south to north or east to west. Now, 52% of the parallel import come from high-income countries, with France being the first on the podium. Germany follows, and UK was third in 2020, but it will no longer be, since it's not allowed anymore to import from the UK. So you can see here the importance of Germany, but you can see also that Greek products can be found in Ireland, that the French one are in Spain, and so the movement of the products, if we take Germany only as a source, they are supplying Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland. This is to say that if our core business is moving products from one country to another, it is not possible if we do not consider the safety of patients and the safety of the supply chain. And this is why MEDI-THEFT is very important for us. Okay, these are some slides about ENVO, but I'm not sure it is right now. Okay, so our main concern are safety of patient and safety of the supply chain. And before being invited to participate in MEDI-THEFT, members have already been trying within the association to develop and implement tools to ensure safety of the supply chain. One of the first tools is the internal scheme audit. So these audits are based on the GDP rules, but also on the internal guidelines for good distribution practice. These guidelines have been developed and agreed by all members of the association. Compliance with these guidelines is a mandatory condition for membership. Companies that would not respect this would be suspended in case of minor default or expelled. What we do is we control once every 3 years. Our companies are audited by an independent company for reason of confidentiality, but the questionnaire used is based on the documents we've been developing. As you can see here, in our guidelines, in the audits and in the questionnaire, we put very much focus on, I think, what is also at the core of fighting against thefts of medicines, the verification of suppliers, the verification of product documentation, and the verification of product supply chain. Another tool that we had developed before MEDI-THEFT, and but it's at a very small scale, is a warning platform to inform our members of all the information that the Secretariat is receiving about either counterfeit or theft or any other incident that could impact the safety of the supply chain. So, based on the information we received from our members or authorities, we circulate this information to all, and then we try to do a follow-up. And there, I must say, it is not always very easy, because when police investigations are going on, it's difficult then for us to get and access the information on what happened. Okay, just to give you an idea, and then I agree with Marco. I think it's completely underestimated, the number of thefts. We've been only circulated, well, only, maybe not only, but circulated 12 alerts concerning thefts in Europe to our members. Why it is important, in my view? No? Okay. Okay, so we've been very happy to be part of this consortium to provide us also our knowledge and insight of the supply chain. I think it's very important for a project like this to have someone who is mastering the complete supply chain and know all the subtleties of the supply chain. And we were also very happy to share our experience of what we know about thefts of medicine, which is concrete experience. So involving private stakeholders in this project was important to improve the efficiency of the system and also to increase the capacity building and knowledge sharing, which is the key knowledge sharing to ensure the success of such a project. For authorities, having private stakeholders sitting next to them helps, I think, to gain knowledge and concrete knowledge of what is going on, and also coming from possible receiving end of the products. And because our members know there are these possible receiving end, they are extremely vigilant and also extremely interested in all the information that can help them to prevent stolen products to enter the supply chain and possibly to arrive somewhere in their companies. Oops. Okay, now what we expect now from for the future of MEDI-THEFT, we really do hope it will not end today or tomorrow, but will continue to exist. We hope it will be taken by as many as possible, as many national authorities as possible, because if we keep it local, it will lose a bit of its interest. So it has to be taken by largely in Europe. It has to include as many possible private stakeholders and users, and this is really the kind of system who will only be efficient and live if it's used widely. And I think this is it for me. It was a pleasure again, I find colleagues, to cooperate with you along these months, and I hope we will have some occasion in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudie. And finally, I will give the floor to Tenente Colonnello Marusca Strappatelli, Nucleo Carabinieri ad AIFA. Oh, sorry, I switched to Italian. For the perspective of the law enforcement.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for your presence here. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Strappatelli Marusca, and I'm the commander of Carabinieri unit in AIFA. And I'm very glad to work inside the agency in close cooperation. Thanks to AIFA for the support and the organization of this meeting. With my slides, yes, I introduce my Department of Police Enforcement, Carabinieri for All Protection, and I'll try to give you some considerations about the MEDI-THEFT project. No. Oh, it's okay. Carabinieri for Health Protection is a specialized department of Carabinieri Corps engaged for combating health offenses. Its headquarters is in Rome, but we have 38 Carabinieri units all over the country that are organized in 3 main groups located in Rome, Milan, and Naples. In Rome, also, we have an operative unit that have competence all over the country, and the AIFA Carabinieri unit that I manage. We have close relationship with the Minister of Health and the regulatory agency AIFA. Carabinieri for Health Protections operate in several areas of expertise like pharmaceutical, healthcare, food, and veterinary. In pharmaceutical matters, we operate in several issues like drugs and medical devices, cosmetics, biocidal, doping contrast, psychoactive drugs, and new psychoactive drugs. In particular, AIFA Carabinieri unit is a very young group because it was established on the 6th of March 2017 with a decree of the Minister of Defense in agreement with the Minister of Health and the Minister of the Interior. It depends on the Carabinieri for Health Protection, but our offices are inside the AIFA headquarters building. We have particular expertise in pharmaceutical crimes like counterfeiting, theft, illegal sale and illegal online sale, and irregular wholesale distribution. In MEDI-THEFT project, we are the pilot unit for Carabinieri. So we have already introduced the project to other Carabinieri units, and some of them have already received a first demonstrative session about the capability of the platform. We trust in this project, and we must trust in it because the phenomenon is, has a big influence on the health protection, and it seems unstoppable. So in this slide, I show you that during the last 5 months, several Carabinieri departments have reported 7 episodes of medicine theft from pharmacies inside hospitals or sanitary local units that are public structures. I'm talking all about cases reported by Carabinieri, not only from other police enforcement. In particular, stolen medicines have high costs, like anti-cancer, antiviral, and for multiple sclerosis, for an amount estimated in 900,000 euros. So we think that MEDI-THEFT project can be a fundamental strong point in the fight against theft. We are sure that the big strength of the MEDI-THEFT platform is in sharing information between stakeholders. So we could have the circular information that is essential to improve and conduct a good investigation. But we are also sure that the recording data is only the first point to achieve the final goal against the theft of medicines. In fact, the data that we will find in MEDI-THEFT platform will be useful to carry on repressive activities. But we think that we have to look over to search other purposes in using the platform. We think that we'll be able to use the data to study situations and behaviors and to realize preventive actions. This objective needs a long and patient work, but could produce guidelines, memorandum of understanding, or other documents useful to prevent the theft. And I focus the concept that when we talk about preventive actions, we think not only about physical measures like security doors, personal surveillance, or webcams, but we think also about organizational measures like different and alternative ways of procurement, of stock management, and specific rules in receipt of goods. So, MEDI-THEFT platform will be a fundamental treasure of information useful in contrasting medicine theft, but we must work together toward the future. We must work to promote the correct use of the platform, to have real and timely data, and to take care of the platform even after the end of the project. We hope to see a rapid increasing of the number of the participating countries and private partners that could give their points of view, ideas, and suggest. Thank you all, and I wish you great things in your job.
Thank you very much. So we are at the end of this session, so there is now time for the coffee break. In the later parts, we will also have the last partners that will be introduced of the project, which is the Poligrafico, and then we conclude all the others. Since we are a little bit late, the idea is to reduce a little bit the length of the coffee break, so we will be back, if you agree, on 11:35. So 11:35, and so that we can shrink a little bit, not that much. So enjoy the coffee break and see you later.